gonna read the scriptures sa book of Daniel, chapter 4. Chapter 4, verse 34 to 37. Page 493.
493.
34 sa Old Testament tayo. Title nito ay Nebuchadnezzar's Praise for God. Let's 34 to 37. Okay, let's read all together. Verse 34. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praise and honor Him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and His kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and He doeth according to His will in the army of heaven. And among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay His hand, or say unto Him, What doest thou? And at the same time, the reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselors and my words sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, all whose words are truth, and His ways judgment, and those that walk in pride His evil ways. Sinimula ni Nebuchadnezzar at tinapos ang salaysay ng may papuri at sa pagitan ng sinabi kung bakit siya nagpaligtoob sa gayong pagsamba sa tunay na Diyos. At ang pamagat ay ang papuri ni Nebuchadnezzar sa Diyos o Nebuchadnezzar's Praise for God. Ating kilalanin kung sino si King Nebuchadnezzar sa Biblia. Punta tayo sa Daniel chapter 1 verse 1. In the third year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem and besieged it. So, sinakop ni King Nebuchadnezzar na hari ng Babylonia ang Jerusalem sa pangatlong taon ni Haring Jehoiakim ng hari ng Judah. So, kung papansinin natin dito, si King Nebuchadnezzar, siya ay King of Babylon. Punta tayo sa verse 3, Daniel chapter 1 verse 3. And the king spake unto Aspenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the princess. Ang hari ng Babylonia na si King Nebuchadnezzar ay gustong magdala ng mga prinsipe ng Israel papunta sa Babylon. At sino sila? So, titignan naman natin sa Daniel chapter 1, verse 6. Now these were the children of Judah, sina Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. In Daniel chapter 1, verse 7, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, for he gave unto Daniel the name of Belteshazzar, and to Hananiah of Shadrach, and to Mishael of Meshach, and to Azariah of Abednego. Bakit pinalitan itong mga pangalan ng Babylonia sina Daniel. So, tignan natin yung pangalan Daniel. Ang ibig sabihin ng Daniel, judgment of book. Pinagitan yung pangalan niyang Belteshazzar, o sa root word na Bel, favored by Bel. Ibig sabihin, isa siyang Diyos-Diyosan sa Babylon. Si Hananiah naman, ang ibig sabihin ng Hananiah, gift of God, pinalitan ng Shadrach. Ang ibig sabihin ng Shadrach, the great scribe, o isang Babylonian god na pangalan ay Nebo. Si Mishael naman, ang ibig sabihin ay who is like God, pinalitan ng Meshach. Ang ibig sabihin ay guest of king, maaaring isa din sa mga Babylonian god. Azariah, whom the Lord helped, pinalitan ng Abednego, servant of Nego, maaaring. So, ibig sabihin, si King Nebuchadnezzar ay isang pagan king, o yung kaharian niya ay sumasamba sa mga Diyos-Diyosan. Punta naman tayo sa Daniel chapter 4, verse 1. Nebuchadnezzar, the king. Nebuchadnezzar the king, unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. Nagpadala ng mensahe si Nebuchadnezzar sa buong mundo, at hindi lamang sa kanyang bayan. Sa panahon na yun, masasabing siya yung hari ng mundo, o king of the world. So, tatlong uri yung nakita natin dito. Una, siya yung king of Babylon. Pangalawa, pagan king. At pangatlo, king of the world. What is Babylon at ano ang meron dito? Alamin natin ito sa buksan natin ng Daniel chapter 1 verse 3. And the king spake unto Aspenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel, and of the king's seed, and of the prince. Verse 4, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge, and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, in whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. Sa panahon ngayon, sikat ang Babylonia sa pag-aral ng lahat ng aspeto ng science. Ang kanilang dakilang siyentipikong pag-aral ay nagbigay daan sa kanila upang bumuo ng hindi kapani-paniwalang bagay, tulad ng Babylon's 11-mile double walls, the Tower of Babel, the Hanging Garden, canals, tapos yung malalaking irrigasyon. Ang metrology was to at detalyado. Lahat ng mga sukat, length, area, capacity, weight ay nagmula sa single standard o yung tinatawag na handbreadth. Ang mga division ng circle sa mga loob ng degrees, minutes, and seconds sa sexagesimal basis. Henyo sa pagpapalakas ng alpabeto, ginagawang posible ang mga simple problems sa arithmetic, na-invento at na-implement sa pagsukat ng lapse of time. Nakamit nila ang pinaka-perfectong textile fabrics o yung tela. Matagumpay na napag-aralan ang motion of heavenly bodies. Nagsalin ng sistema ng batas. Nakita ang halaga ng eksaktong chronology sa bawat sangay ng science ay kanilang pinag-aralan. Integral calculus to calculate the path of Jupiter. Ang Babylonians ay binuo ang abstract, mathematical, geometrical mga ideya tungkol sa pagitan ng paggalaw, posisyon at oras na napakakaraniwan sa anumang modernong physicist at mathematician. At ipinapakita ng bagong pananaliksik ang sinaunang Babylonia ay bihasa sa trigonometry. Sa panahon iyon, masasabi natin na ang Babylonia ay ang pinakamodernong lungsod sa mundo. Tignan naman natin ang Daniel chapter 2, verse 2. Then the king to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans. So meron din mga magicians, astrologers, sorcerers, soothsayers, yung manghuhula, tapos Chaldeans. Sila yung nag-aaral ng science, astronomers o mathematics, Chaldeans. Nebuchadnezzar dreamed again and see the vision of his dream. He called Daniel, because Daniel the one only can interpret the meaning of his dream, just like what happened in chapter 2. But this time, we see the vision of the dream, not unlike in chapter 2. He dreamed dreams, but we don't know what he's dreaming, wherewith his spirit was troubled. In Daniel chapter 4, verse 11, the tree grew. Daniel chapter 4, verse 11. The tree grew and was strong, and the height thereof reached unto heaven, and the side thereof to the end of all the earth. Ito yung napanaginipan ni Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar. Daniel chapter 4, verse 18. This dream I, Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now thou, O Belteshazzar, declare interpretation thereof. For as much as all the wise men of the kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the Spirit of holy God is in thee. So, may tiwala si Nebuchadnezzar na kaya ipaliwanag ni Daniel ang kanyang panaginip. Nakita niya na kaya bigyang kahulugan ni Daniel ang sanyang panaginip na walang ibang makakaya. Alam niya na ang kapangyarihan ni Daniel ay galing sa Diyos. In Daniel chapter 4, verse 19. Then Daniel, whose name was Belteshazzar, was astonished for 1 hour, and his thoughts troubled him. The king spake and said, Belteshazzar, let not the dream or the interpretation thereof trouble thee. Belteshazzar answered and said, My lord, the dream be to them that hate thee, and the interpretation thereof to thine enemies. Verse 20. The tree that thou sawest, which grew and was strong, whose height reached unto the heaven, and the side thereof to all the earth, whose leaves were bare, and the fruit thereof much, and it was meat for all. Under the beasts of the field dwell, upon whose branches the fowls of the heaven, and the side thereof to all the earth. It is thou, O King, that art grown and become strong, for thy greatness is grown and reaches unto heaven, and thy dominion to the end of the earth. So, sabi dito, it is thou, O King, yung napanaginipan niyang tree. Sa panahon na yun, siya ay matagumpay at dakila at pinakamalakas na hari sa mundo. Pinakamagandang lungsod sa gana sa pagkain para sa lahat. In verse 23, chapter 4, verse 23, and whereas the king saw a watcher and an holy one coming down from heaven, and saying, Hew tree down and destroy it. Putulin mo yung tree. So, yet leave the stump of the roots thereof in the earth, even with the band of iron and brass, in the tender grass of the field, and let it be wet with the dew of heaven, and let its portion be with the beasts of the field till 7 times pass over him. Verse 24, this is the interpretation of king, and this is the decree of the Most High which is come upon my Lord the King, that they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field, and they shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and they shall wet thee with the dew of heaven, and 7 times shall pass over thee. Till thou know that the Most High ruleth the kingdom of men, and giveth to the whosoever he will, and whereas they commanded to lead the stump of the 3 roots, thy kingdom shall be sure unto thee, after that thou shalt have known that the heavens do rule. So, in Daniel chapter 4, verse 27, Daniel advised the king Nebuchadnezzar, "Wherefore, O king, let my counsel be acceptable unto thee, and break off thy sins by righteousness, and thine iniquities by showing mercy to the poor, if it may be a lengthening of the tranquility." In verse 28, all this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of the 12 months, he walked in the palace. Verse 29, at the end of the 12 months, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon. The king spake and said, It is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty. So, sabi dito, 12 months walking on the palace, makalipas ng 12 months, sinabi niya sa sarili niya, it is not the great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty. So, iniisip niya sa sarili niya na, ayun, tinayo ko itong Great Babylon na napakamagandang kaharian. Nakikita niya yung mga hanging garden of Babylon. At sabi niya sa sarili niya na, have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power and for the honor of my majesty. So tinitignan niya ang kanyang nagawa at kanyang sariling kaluwalhatian. He lifted himself because of his pride, and immediately the divine judgment came unto him, and he fell into sanity and was driven into palace. So verse 31, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven, saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times 7 years shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whosoever he will. Verse 33, the same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, and he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hair were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like bird claws. So dito, binigyan si Nebuchadnezzar ng isip na maging hayop. Na-judge, ang tawag dun ay divine judgment ng Diyos sa kanya. In verse 34, and at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me. And I blessed the Most High, and I praise and honor him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. So, nung matapos ng 7 years na pag-uukong kay King Nebuchadnezzar, na lumabalik yung isipan niya, at sinamba niya yung tunay na Diyos, siya ngayon ay sumasamba at pinupuri ang isang tunay na Diyos. From pagan king yung sumasamba sa mga Diyos-Diyosan, ngayon ay sumasamba na sa tunay na Diyos. In verse 35, and all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven. And among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand or say unto him, What doest thou? Ngayon, alam ni King Nebuchadnezzar na walang anuman o walang sino man ang may control maliban sa Diyos. And at the, verse 36, at the same time, my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, mine honor and brightness returned unto me. And my counselors and my Lord sought unto me, and was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. Ang gandang puno si King Nebuchadnezzar ay naging matubig mula sa langit. Siya ngayon ay bukal sa buhay. Ang kanyang kaharian ay ibinalik sa kanya, gayon din ang karangalan bilang hari. Ang kaidhan ay kilala ngayon ni King Nebuchadnezzar ang Diyos. Ang kanyang karunungan ngayon ay sa Diyos. Malaki ang pagpapala sa kanya ng Diyos. Verse 37, Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven. All whose works are truth, and his ways, judgment, and those that work in pride he is able to appease. Ngayon nakikita natin ang isang mapagkumbabang lalaki na nagkatawang hari. Alam na niya ngayon na ang kanyang pagkatao ay dahil sa Diyos. Dinadala niya tayo pataas o ibababa tayo. Ginagawa ng Diyos ang anumang kailangan para matanto natin na kailangan natin siya. Pinarusahan siya ng Diyos para sa kanyang sariling kabutihan. Ginagawa niya ito para hanapin niya ang Diyos. Naunawa na niya ngayon ang kasaganaan ng Diyos. So, bumagsak si King Nebuchadnezzar dahil sa kanyang pride. Titignan natin yung Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. Proverbs chapter 16, verse 18. Pride goeth before destruction, and an haughty spirit before a fall. Tignan din natin ang James 2, verse 13. James chapter 2, verse 13. Ano page?
Chapter 2, 675.
575.
675 po.
675. Okay, basahin ko na. For he shall have judgment without mercy that. James chapter 2, verse 13. For he shall have judgment without mercy that hath showed no mercy, and mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So, minsan, kung ang isang tao ay lasenggero, alam niya na siya ay lasenggero. Ang magnanakaw ay alam na kung siya ay magnanakaw, alam din niya na siya ay magnanakaw. Pero kung ang isang tao ay punong-puno ng pride sa sarili, hindi niya matanto na siya ay punong-puno ng pride. Minsan, naisip natin sa sarili na pinaghirapan ko ito, ginawa ko ito sa aking kakayahan. Tayo mag-ingat na hindi tayo titingin sa ating talento, kakayahan, abilidad, yaman, itsura, o ang ating posisyon. Bagkos tignan din natin na meron tayong Diyos na siya nagbigay sa atin kung anong kakayahan meron tayo. Ang Diyos mismo ang nagbigay sa atin ng abilidad, talento, kakayahan, at marapat siya ay pasalamatan. Gumawa ng paraan ng Diyos kay King Nebuchadnezzar para malaman niya na kailangan niya rin umasa sa Panginoon. So, manalangin po tayo. Lord, thank you for my life and everything that you blessed me with. Have mercy on me and forgive me for thinking too highly of myself. I renounce every manifestation of pride and arrogance